Hello YouTube, Ted Visner here again. I wanted to post an update related to an officer safety caution that I got in discovery from the prosecution in my criminal case. It's important because this is the same document I've been trying to get a hold of, I think now for at least 6 years. And it's titled Officer Safety Caution. One thing to know, one thing that I've discovered is that Michigan Law Enforcement Information Network, commonly referred to as the LEAN system, maintains information about people, and they have what's known as an officer safety caution that's generated through the LEAN system using criminal conviction codes. And it automatically generates what the LEAN system considers to be an officer safety caution, and like I just said, this information is presented in the form of conviction data. This is actual conviction data, and the information that's put in the LEAN information, Law Enforcement Information Network database that's issued to every police officer that runs a name is related to drug crimes and violent crimes, and generates this officer safety caution through the LEAN Information Network. Now, what I received in discovery is called an officer safety caution. It's actually a creation of the Michigan State Police, and it's called an officer safety caution, but it's not the same officer safety caution as what's reported in LEAN. Upon investigation, I discovered that this document is called an officer safety caution because the Michigan State Police want all police to consider this officer safety caution, which is actually a police bulletin, to be considered conviction data. And it's not. It's this officer safety caution created by the Michigan Intelligence Operations Center for Homeland Security, MIOC. This document is property of the MIOC and is prepared for the limited purpose of information sharing. This information is designated ULES and is shared in confidence. This document must not be reclassified in any way, in whole or in part. Release to the media of any information in this document is prohibited. Information may be exempt from public release under the United States Freedom of Information Act and the Michigan Freedom of Information Act. So essentially, the police are creating these documents, titling them the same as what an officer would see in the LEAN database as conviction data, and they've titled it the same so that every officer that gets a hold of this officer safety caution looks at it as if it is actually conviction data. And I'm going to show you a picture of it here in just a minute, but I don't want this to be a huge video. Let me just do that now, if I can. I'll post a better link, and actually it's shared on my Facebook, so check out my Facebook. You can have your own copy of my officer safety caution. But this is what it says about me, and keep in mind this is somebody's feelings and opinions. This is not part of any due process, and it's basic, scandalous and defaming, and it's horrific. Here's what it says. Description has me, my name, date of birth, social security number, driver's license number, some FBI number, and some other SID number I don't understand. It has my address, like I said, date of birth. And then there's this narrative. Theodore Visner has been identified as a possible domestic extremist with violent tendencies. Visner was denied a concealed pistol license in Isabella County. Visner is a well-known anti-government individual with a large social media presence. Visner's recent postings include videos regarding interactions with Department of Health Services and Child Protection Services personnel. Within the videos, Visner refers to CPS activity as terrorism and advocates for people to retaliate against the activity. Visner has a history of threatening behavior, including to threaten to shoot police over an eviction dispute, threatening a child services worker over the phone, and posting malicious and slanderous messages on various media outlets regarding to members of the Isabella County Sheriff's Office and county officials. Officers should exercise due caution when approaching this individual. Holy crap, guys. This is the sediment from the government, the police. Police are members of the executive branch of Michigan government. And this is hogwash. It's bullshit. It's not true. To put this in perspective, what do cops do when somebody kills one of them? They all rally, and nobody goes off duty until the suspect's apprehended. Now, they basically said that I'm a cop killer wannabe based on the First Shots of the Revolution video I posted 2.5 years ago. And the only time I see this video being used by the state is in this misapplication. I didn't threaten to shoot police. I threatened to protect my private property after a judge in Isabella County named Eric Janes denied my wife and I standing to defend ourselves as the summoned named defendants. We were summoned to go to court under threat of arrest. We went to court. We had a police escort to court for whatever reason, I don't know. And in court, the plaintiff in an eviction proceeding sat mute while Eric Janes argued everything. And the first thing he argued was our standing, and that's the reason why I cut the video First Shots of the Revolution. You don't go to court as a named defendant and be denied standing, Eric Janes, without dismissing the case. If the defendant has no standing, there is no case. So instead of dismissing the case where I allegedly had no standing as a defendant, Eric Janes ruled against us and gave our house away. And in the First Shots of the Revolution video, because I brought the police up to speed, the Isabella County Sheriff's Department was brought up to speed. They knew what was going on. They knew that this judge denied me standing and then gave our house away in Blanchard, Michigan. The address is 7287 West Fremont in Blanchard, Michigan. So, horrific thing for Eric Janes to have done. And because it happened in court, makes it legal, makes it lawful, makes it right, makes it righteous? No. No. You don't go to court as a summoned and named defendant under threat of arrest to be told by a judge that as a defendant you don't have standing. As a defendant you cannot defend yourself. And these are the things that we're seeing here again today with this medical marijuana case that isn't really even about medical marijuana. It's about this officer safety caution. I was thrown in jail for 56 days because of this officer safety caution that I didn't know existed because it's private slander created by the Michigan State Police. Private slander. So everybody in the executive branch, the judicial branch, and legislative branch of Michigan government has this information on me that's not signed. It's completely anonymous. Could have been written by Harry Houdini. Who cares? It's not signed. There's no way to challenge it. And I asked the Michigan State Police on Facebook, I said, who created this officer safety caution? How do I rebut it? And why is it anonymous? And why is it somebody's opinion? You know, how do I rebut this opinion is what I asked them. And I'll post a picture of the conversation I had with the Michigan State Police on my Facebook again. Their reply was, this is not an opinion. This was a document created by the Michigan State Police and its law enforcement partners. and there's no way to rebut it. It's insane. It's secret slander. Now, this document was used by Eric Janes in 2015 to deny me standing, to deny my family standing. As we're in court as the named defendants, Eric Janes says, well, technically you don't have standing. Well, technically, a defendant without standing creates a non-issue. It's no longer a case if the defendant doesn't have standing. Now, normally, a defendant will argue that the plaintiff doesn't have standing, but in this particular case, Judge Eric Janes, practicing law from the bench, made an allegation that my wife and I didn't have standing, the owners of the house where we were being evicted from, and then ruled against us and gave away our 8,864 square foot home because we didn't have standing. And then the same Isabella County Sheriff's Department that had stolen a house from my family previous under a fake eviction at 829 East Walton in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, came and stole this other house from us in Blanchard, Michigan. And we'd been there 11 years, I believe. The cops showed up on September 17th, 2015, after Eric Janes denied our standing, gave our house away, and Sheriff Leo Medashevsky showed up with MLive, a news crew, the bank and the bank crew, and over 50 officers were involved in that raid, where all of our personal property was thrown into 7 30-yard dumpsters and hauled 40 minutes from our property. And I spent 8 days in jail in Isabella County without bail because of not necessarily this officer safety caution, but one very similar to it. And I've known about this backstory, this officer safety caution type bullshit since 2010, when I reported the Kent County Sheriff's Department creating a counterfeit deed, and that counterfeit deed, creation of a counterfeit deed, is a 14-year felony. And a Kent County Sheriff deputy by the name of Patrick McCullough created this counterfeit sheriff deed as a counterfeit financial instrument, and that counterfeit financial instrument was used by Edward Winkler to steal our house with $130,000 worth of equity at 1647 Franklin Street in East Grand Rapids. For 15 years now, I think the number one place to live in the United States is East Grand Rapids because of its renowned schools. Ever since I discovered and reported on the crimes of the Kent County Sheriff's Department, I've been targeted by police. 5 months after that house, that first house was stolen by the police in this counterfeit deed, the Isabella County Sheriff's Department, under the direction and leadership of Sheriff Leo Medashevsky, stole another house from us using a fake eviction. He told the Salem News that we were just upset for having been evicted. There was no eviction. If we were just upset for having been evicted, where's the eviction order? There wasn't one. 5 months later, see, these two houses were stolen from me within 5 months of each other in 2010. Look, if you've ever been burglarized, if somebody broke into your house and stole from you, you know the violation. But what about when somebody just steals your whole damn house? The house in East Grand Rapids we had sold. We'd moved our buyer in so that his daughter could attend the East Grand Rapids schools. And Edward Winkler shows up with this counterfeit deed and uses it like an eviction. Throws out our buyer without notice and takes physical and possessory possession of this property, contrary to all kinds of laws. But the problem with that case was the counterfeit deed was created by the Sheriff's Department. It's a 14-year felony to utter and publish a counterfeit financial instrument like a sheriff deed, and it's also 15-year felony perjury. Now, this counterfeit deed is on file currently, right now, in a tamper-proof system at the Kent County Register of Deeds, dated March 16, 2010. It's public information. I've had copies of it. You know, my house was just raided again by police. They stole all my computers and stuff again. And that's what I want to get back to the Blanchard, Michigan. The 50 officers threw all of my personal property into 7 dumpsters and hauled it 40 minutes north to somebody's personal property. And I went through every single one of those dumpsters, and missing were a bunch of computers, a bunch of cameras, and a bunch of other electronic media where I've been recording these crimes, where I've been creating these legal documents, trying to seek redress and remedy for that original incident. What I'm calling the linchpin incident happened in 2010. On April 15th, 2010, Edward Winkler showed up with this counterfeit instrument and seized possession of my family's home at 1647 Franklin. I called the police. The police showed up and said, well, he's got a deed. They couldn't do anything. Not really the police's fault. They didn't know what was going on. But it was the police's fault, because they should have known that you can't just, show up with a piece of paper that has nothing to do with eviction and kick somebody out. So Edward Winkler destroyed the sale we had. They stopped me from realizing the $130,000 worth of equity as we moved our buyer in, waiting for his loan to close. And because of that incident, 5 months later, Isabella County Sheriff Leo Metashevsky raided and looted another home. We had 7 at the time, 7 homes, 7 properties. We had a golf course lot in Vassar, which wasn't a home, just a lot. And at the time, my wife and I had credit scores over 750. We were working on our credit. We were buying and fixing and selling houses. That was part of our business. And to have a sheriff deputy under Larry Stelma. Larry Stelma is like a 3-term or 4-term sheriff now in Kent County. His employee, Patrick McCullough, got together with his notary and notarized a blank document having to do with my family's property. Blank. This is how it's on file, folks. Patrick McCullough signed as witness to some sale that never happened and had his signature notarized on a blank document. And Edward Winkler went and filed that document, and it created the problem where redress and remedy was not available because Edward Winkler, this Grand Rapids lawyer, knew that to seek redress and remedy, the police would have to admit to have created a counterfeit document to begin with, therefore creating this perfect crime. Edward Winkler knew that he could use this counterfeit document to do whatever he wanted with, and that's exactly what he did. So, back to this officer safety caution. This, or something very similar to this, was created having to do with me after I tried to report the felony crimes of the Kent County Sheriff's Department. And I've had trouble with law enforcement ever since. Now, I didn't start off as this guy that, wanted to report police crimes. But when the police are involved in a crime that victimizes your family, you have to do something. My children have to grow up in this country. And we're not supposed to do anything about cops committing crimes and stealing real property? I don't even know if you can go on YouTube and find where land theft is an issue. But it is an issue. Land theft. I mean, this is the kind of thing that happened 200 years ago. And it's happening today. And when you go and try and report the crimes of police, they create this off-book bullshit about you Calling me anti-government because I'm reporting the crimes of police? Doesn't make me anti-government. So right now, right here today, I am officially rebutting this officer safety caution. It's bullshit. It's not signed. It's got speculation, conjecture, personal opinions, and feelings about me without due process, without an ability to rebut. See, when we end up beating our heads against the wall with regard to, fighting law enforcement over an issue, this is their response. They essentially called me a cop killer wannabe. Time to rally, folks. We got a loose cannon here that wants to shoot police to protect his property. That's bullshit. But if America doesn't understand, the American people don't understand, and the American police don't understand, they can't walk around with badges committing any crime they want to. Because a lot of people are paying attention. October 11, 2017, there were 60 cops at this house. They busted down my door at 5 o'clock in the morning. Had nothing to do with medical marijuana. That just gave them an excuse to commit more felonies, to entrap me, so they could throw me in jail. Where the jailer, the commander of the Bay County Jail, was shown this document, told about me being anti-government, and it was just one nightmare after another. The criminal process I'm involved in now quite literally has absolutely nothing to do with marijuana. Has everything to do with the police wanting to throw me in jail, prison, for 16 to 20 years. And now they found some convenient way to do it. All because what? I understand what crime is, and I understand that police can commit crimes against the people, in the name of the people, and that idiots like Bay County Prosecutor Bernard Coppolino can witness these same cops testifying, confessing to committing a 4-year felony to create this entrapment scheme I'm currently involved in. It's a 4-year felony for someone to acquire controlled substances under false and misleading pretenses in Michigan. It's MCL 333.7407. Google it, folks. Cops are not exempt from that particular law or any particular law, code, or statute. 4-year felony so that they could entrap me because of this officer safety caution, where they're making the world try and believe, the world, I mean government, believe that I'm anti-government, and I want to shoot police. I don't want to shoot anybody. And there's a lot of people that are lucky. I'm not like that. Trust me. Speculation, conjecture, personal opinions, and feelings are being shared privately between authorities. And check out my YouTube channel. Daniel Austin had a family team meeting back in 2014 where the contents of this officer safety caution that's allegedly created on June 30th, 2016, these same issues were discussed by Melody Lake, Isabella County CPS worker Melody Lake, after she and her cohorts in Isabella County kidnapped Daniel Austin's 3 children without a court order. And the petition to take her 3 children was denied after her children had already been taken, and she was kept from her children after the petition to the court to take her children was denied. What's going on here, folks? Kidnapping all of a sudden okay if it's being done by government? Bullshit. Bullshit. I'm not standing for it now any more than I was in 2014 or 2010 when Larry Stelma's Sheriff's Department uttered and published a counterfeit deed that was used to steal my property, my family's home in East Grand Rapids. It's the sharing of this type of information that led Isabella County Sheriff Leo Matuszewski 5 months after the theft of my first home to steal a second home from us at 829 East Walton in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. This type of document. I can only imagine what that one said back in 2010. Well, we stole the house from this idiot uttering and publishing false, fraudulent, counterfeit financial instruments, and we really don't want him to have the ability to sue us. So, let's just hit him again. Our home in Mount Pleasant, Michigan was raided and looted by the Isabella County Sheriff's Department, and they took all of our property, all of our home furnishings, my children's sports equipment, everything. Everything. All they would have to do in defense of those actions is produce a seizure warrant, an eviction order. These things don't exist. Two houses in 5 months, one with $130,000 worth of equity, the other one with its content stolen from my family. And I'm anti-government? Folks, these things happen by government. I'm not anti-government, but I am not the man who's going to be governed by frickin' criminals. Period. And that's my stand. And that's why there are current criminal charges against me now where they're looking to put me away for 16 to 20 years. Because cops showed up with fake medical marijuana cards, fake driver's licenses, and acquired controlled substances under false pretense. The important thing to know about the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act is that it is perfectly legal to sell services related to assisting others in the medical use of marijuana, provided they are registered and qualified patients in the state of Michigan. The Medical Marijuana Act makes it legal for caregivers to receive compensation in exchange for the associated costs. What that means is that caregivers can charge money for the associated costs with assisting registered qualifying patients in the medical use of marijuana. The Medical Marijuana Act is written this way because marijuana is still a Schedule I controlled substance according to the federal government, and Michigan law cannot say, okay, now you guys can go out and commit this federal crime and participate in the medical marijuana program. The medical marijuana section 24, I forget the number, but it's section F. Section 4F. That particular section makes it legal to charge money for the costs associated with assisting others in the medical use of marijuana, but it does not, nowhere in the Medical Marijuana Act, make it legal to sell marijuana as a product. But we the people are not supposed to know this. I would have never gotten involved with medical marijuana if I didn't understand this. So when cops showed up claiming to be registered qualifying patients, Section F allowed me to charge them for the costs associated with assisting them as registered qualifying patients in the medical use of marijuana. Cops left here, dropped their fake persona, said they came here, paid cash for drugs, and left. Ted's no more than a street dealer. It's insane, folks. It's insane. A medical marijuana card is verification that a board-certified physician has recommended the medical use of marijuana to a particular patient, and that patient has applied to the state for permission to participate in his doctor's recommended treatment, and that the board-certified physician has reviewed the patient records and is comfortable recommending the medical use of marijuana to that particular individual. The individual paid for permission, which is bull. You guys know that. Pay the state to conform to your doctor's recommended course of treatment for permission. It's insane to begin with. But this is the world we live in. But even if you follow all the rules, police will show up after conspiring to commit and then committing 4-year felonies and then call you a criminal when you have done absolutely everything to conform to the law. There's a lot bigger picture here, folks. Michigan, the state of Michigan, the government cannot tax a service. They can only tax the sale of products. That's why it's putting dispensaries out of business. Because it's creating its Facilities Licensing Act, where the state is going to position itself to collect taxes from everybody participating in this industry. Michigan is morally and financially bankrupt. I'm going to end it here. I'm already at a half hour. I wanted this to be a 10-minute video. But we have to address this. This officer safety caution is complete bullshit. The officer safety caution is taking from the lien database officer safety caution in its status and stature, in that the lien database reports officer safety cautions as somebody being convicted of drug or violent crimes. And that's why the police created this bulletin and named it an officer safety caution, so every cop out there thinks that this is conviction data. That's insane. It's not signed. It's not notarized. It's not to be shared with the media. And it's secret slander. Secret slander conducted by our government. Secret slander that showed to judges and prosecutors. People in law enforcement share this information right here. This guy wants to kill cops is what they're saying. This is the information they're spreading out there. Calling me a cop killer wannabe. So now every cop in Michigan, every prosecutor in Michigan wants to see me burnt at the stake because of this bullshit. I should point out that the existence of this officer safety caution predates the date on here. There have been other ones. I know it. I felt this. I had to become a criminal defendant in Michigan so that I could get my hands on this, because this is the real issue. Secret slander. Privately shared information to scandalize the people that are trying to fix law enforcement. Peace and God bless. One thing I have to say is these fools are lucky that I'm not a violent man. They are damn lucky I'm not a violent man. Of course, they probably wish I were. They'd put a bullet in me a long time ago and said I was just some freaking domestic terrorist and you know, chalked it up for gun control. Peace out, YouTube. See you next time.